This is the almost $3,000 Canon R5. This is the Osmo Pocket 3, and this is the image out of the Insta360 Go Ultra. All of these cameras film in 4K, but the R5 and the Osmo Pocket 3 both have much larger sensors and 10-bit color. But neither of these two cameras can do this. Yes, this thing can be magnetically mounted to pretty much any metal surface and comes with all the different action mounts as well, including a pendant mount. So I can mount it on my chest here to get POV shots, and it just saves the setup. I mean, look at all of this stuff that I had to set up to be able to get these shots with the other two cameras. I mean, granted, the Osmo Pocket 3, this little selfie stick tripod is pretty small and compact, but having to mount my camera onto a Gorilla Pod and set this up, this literally took me probably about 3 or 4 minutes to set up. And the beauty of this little thing is you can just connect it to anything, get your shot and go, which allows you to get really cool sequences like this. Now, I'm not saying that one is necessarily better than the other, because the image quality is clearly better on something like the R5 and the Pocket 3. But as somebody that procrastinates, extra friction that gets in the way of creativity just stops me from making things. I mean, this is a really great point. I haven't done this in forever. Look at it. But as you know, versatility often comes with sacrifice. Small often equals worse battery life, lower image quality, worse performance in low light. Big comes with better image quality, but more complexity, more accessories needed, more weight, more to carry around with you, a bigger learning curve, and therefore a bigger price tag. But as time goes on, my R5 is slowly getting replaced by things like the Osmo Pocket 3, which has the 1-inch sensor and has good enough image quality and good enough low light performance that I can use this thing in almost every situation. And unlike a lot of those last shots that I did on the R5, where I had so many little bits and pieces that I actually didn't have the microphone, the shotgun microphone turned on, this thing, you just flip the switch and you can start recording as long as your mic is on. It's so much easier, and you don't look as much of a moron in public. Still look pretty weird though. The Pocket 3 is honestly really versatile, but this thing takes things to a whole nother level with relatively few sacrifices and includes features that I didn't even know that I needed. Can I get regular chips with salt and vinegar, please? What do we have next on the agenda? Trying to get better and plan my videos out a little bit better. It's definitely not the best image quality if you compare it to some of the other action cameras that have 10-bit, but I don't really think that that's the point. I don't think this thing is trying to be a replacement for an action camera or trying to have the most cinematic image. I mean, yes, it is kind of in the same form factor as a traditional action camera, but to be honest with you, how many people or how many of you have owned an action camera after being sold with all of those amazing shots, only to use it once or twice and then throw it in a drawer and never get it out again after realizing that you're not a professional athlete? I think that's where these two cameras really differ. I kind of see this thing as the action cam for everybody. I think it's like the ultimate second camera to your phone for you to capture moments of your life. There are lots of things that this thing does that this thing kind of doesn't really do, or that you would rather do with this thing that you wouldn't really want to do with your phone. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at this thing and its form factor and all of its features. So let's take a look at this camera a little bit closer. As you probably know at this point, this thing is modular. So you have the camera pod, which is teeny tiny. It's definitely bigger than the Go 3, which I found initially was quite off-putting before actually having it, because I thought, why would they make it bigger? But I think the improved functionality and features with this thing has made it well worth it. For instance, they've added an area where you can put a micro SD card into it, which wasn't available in the previous version. They've also given it a bigger sensor and better specs in terms of frame rates and stuff like that. So you have the camera module, and then you have the action pod that it magnetically connects into. And really, unless you have this thing in your hand, it kind of looks a little bit odd and kind of clunky or quirky, but it magnetically clips in, and then there's a little button here that allows you to quick release it, so it's not going to fall out accidentally. The magnets on these things are really, really strong anyway, so I would, even if it didn't have that little clip, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't fall out very easily. And then of course you have the action pod itself, and the action pod has a battery as well as the camera module. So the action pod will charge the camera module whenever it connects to it, and eventually this thing will deplete and then give you more in this. This thing will operate separately from the action pod, and there's a little indentation here which basically indicates there's a button underneath it, so you can press it. And there's two little light indicators as well as a taptic engine. So whenever you press record, it will vibrate and the lights will turn on and off. And the cool thing is you can turn them off completely, which means that they'll be discreet if you put them on a pendant here and you have this thing here. It's really not noticeable when you're out in public, especially if you're like trying to film some interactions. I mean, of course you want to ask permission, but there might be some scenarios where you need to film and you don't want the flashing light there, and you can turn that off with this thing. When it comes to the action pod itself, it also has a couple of buttons on it, a power button and then a custom button as well. Those are the only buttons that are on it. And underneath the action pod itself, there are quick release mounts for the quick release system that will then allow you to connect other action camera mounts to it. This thing is waterproof. This device is not waterproof, so you definitely don't want to get this thing wet. The other aspect of this thing is that it has a flip up screen. Having a flip up screen is super handy, especially if you're filming and you're vlogging and stuff. You can see yourself, and there's a lot of little buttons that are accessible from your thumb, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So not only does this thing help charge the camera module, but it also, you can control it remotely, control this remotely using this action pod. And it's amazing how good the connection is. I've gone down the street and round the corner and it's still been connected. I mean, not like a long street, but I've gone round corners before of walls and this thing has still stayed connected. And there's a little indicator at the top that will show you how much connection you have. So you can monitor the image and you can remotely start and stop it, which means that in scenarios where I'm trying to get shots of me riding and I put it down low or up high, I can place it, check my framing, and then remotely record. So I'm not recording whilst I place it there and then go and get my shot and then have to ride back and then keep it recording, pull it off, and then stop recording with all that extra unnecessary footage, which I think is really, really handy. And the other thing is this thing remotely connects to the Insta360 app as well. So you don't even need this action pod if you want. There is no USB-C port on here, unfortunately, so you cannot charge this with just a USB-C, but Insta360 is smart and they thought about that you might want to take this without this. They sell a charger that's kind of like the Apple Watch charger, so you just it magnetically clips on there, lines with these pins, and charges up itself. When it comes to battery life, this thing's battery I mean, I forget what it stated online, but it doesn't last a long time. I think you probably get about an hour of mixed usage out of it on its own, but then you're gonna wanna charge it afterwards. And then this thing carries extra charge, of course, but the downside that I've recently been noticing is that this thing will charge this thing when this thing is empty, but then once this thing is depleted of battery, then of course you don't have your remote monitoring and stuff like that. And there's no way of changing your settings for the camera module itself, other than connecting it to the Insta360 app. Then you have full functionality with this thing, which I once again think is really insane. It's insane that they packed all of that connectivity into this little module, and it's probably why it's a little bit bigger. But like I said, it's pretty tiny, it's lightweight, and the the magnet strength on this thing is really amazing. I actually had it magnetically hang on to the head of a tiny little screw and it stayed on there. The magnets are that strong. Pretty impressive. So the physical aspects of this camera are really what makes it so appealing and versatile, and the fact that it's so unique and so modular. But that's not the only thing that makes this thing kind of the action cam for everybody. The software features are really good as well. And I do find that they're a lot more user-friendly and tailored to somebody that might not be used to using high-tech cameras and stuff like that. There is a pro mode when it comes to the video thing, but whenever it comes to the menu settings, there's all sorts of little animations that will show you what they are. There's like this toddler titan mode, which I mean, I personally would never use, but it's designed to allow you to give this thing to your toddler. You can clip it to their hat. Also, whenever you go into other menu settings, it just talks you through those settings a little bit more, so it's more user-friendly. This can get a little bit annoying because then you end up with all of these big descriptors on the screen that take a long time to go away, and you've got to tap through them. So it can get a bit frustrating, but you can say, don't show me this again if you already know what you're dealing with. So there are all the standard modes that you would normally get: time lapse, time warps, star lapse, all of those types of things. And if you are an Insta360 camera owner already, you'll see a lot of these, they'll be quite familiar to you. But the thing that I think really like is the fact that in video mode, and I think most people are going to be using this in video mode, there's the regular shooting mode, and then there's the pro mode if you're looking to have a little bit more control, and you can control the shutter speed, the ISO, and all of those things like you can with most of the other cameras. Why would you want to do that? Because you can actually get ND filters for this thing as well. So if you want to create some motion blur or some creative shots with motion blur, then you can do so using their ND filter kit that just screws on. These things just screw on really easily, which is super handy as well. A lot of people creating content nowadays, you want to have different stylized looks, and for the fast creator, somebody that doesn't want to use editing software and stuff like that, or maybe doesn't even know how to use that sort of stuff, Insta360 has made it really easy to get certain looks straight out of camera. Personally, I like to just keep it on standard. Unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, there is no log for ease of use. Honestly, these days, I'm preferring not to color grade anyway. I'm often using the standard picture profile. I think for 90% of the people out there, this is going to be amazing, and having those options to change that picture profile would be really good as well. There's also a bunch of other creative features that will make your face lighter, portrait mode. There's one thing that I haven't touched upon, and it's probably one of my favorite features of this camera. And yes, it is present on some other cameras, and I think even the Ace Pro too. But this thing allows you to pause recording. So I can press record, and then on the screen, there will be a pause button. It'll pause my recording, I can recompose it and then press it again, and it will continue that clip. And I can go back to other videos that I've made, and there's a little record button there, which will allow me to continue recording off of the back of a previous recording, which means if you're trying to do sequences, you can basically post your camera up somewhere, get your shot, pause it, move it to another place, pause it, move it to another place. And technically, you could do a whole edit without actually having to ever put this footage into editing software if you're good enough. But what it means is you can end up with one clip that has an entire sequence of you kind of moving through the city, and it allows you to change focal lengths as well. So you can pause it, change from mega view to a linear view, and it just stitches it all together into one big clip, which I think is really, really handy. And I wish that was available on all of these other cameras, because one of the things that I actually do anyway whenever I get home is I take a lot of B-roll that is similar and stitch it all together and export it, so I have one clip with all of my B-roll in it. This is a way of just doing that anyway, straight in camera. Other brands, please integrate this. I'd love it if the Pocket 3 did the same thing. And finally, you have pure video mode, which if you've watched my other videos about Insta360 cameras like the X5, you'll know that it uses the AI chips to lighten and brighten the image. In terms of like viewability, you can actually see quite a bit on this thing. And when you compare it to things like the Nano and other cameras like that, this is definitely way brighter. So if you are on your travels and you want to film in a darker environment, and you want to just capture what's going on, you're not mega fussed about the low light ability, this will allow you to do it. Yes, it's not going to look as good as a Pocket 3 or a full frame camera, but you will still capture the essence of what you're doing. And at the end of the day, most of the time, the interesting content comes from story, not these cinematic images. I really can't think of a more kind of versatile and user-friendly consumer camera product, perhaps other than your iPhone. And this thing, just like I mentioned earlier, allows you to get shots that you probably wouldn't get with your iPhone. Yes, of course, it's only one focal length, but the fact that you can mount this everywhere, monitor it remotely, it has the flip up screen and is a dedicated camera. You don't have to risk your iPhone. You're not going to mount your iPhone up to a lamppost or something like that. Whereas with this thing, it's so discreet, nobody even notices it. I went all around London mounting this to different things in Waterloo Station and everything. People just walked by, they didn't even realize. They were like, oh, it looks just like you're touching a certain part of like a sign or something like that. So nobody even really pays any attention to this, and it allows you to get so creative. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. If you like this video, please subscribe, use my affiliate links. It really helps me if you decide to pick up one of these. They'll be down in the description below. Subscribe if you feel so inclined, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.